Glasses hover over the table when Sofia's fingers twitch and the sealed envelope she hid beneath her napkin drops. It splays open as it slides across the polished oak, a heap of yellowed papers tumbling toward Isabella's trembling hands. Marcus swallows. Elena's smile freezes. The room holds its breath as the loose documents peel back to reveal a hospital's stamped return address. No name, just a place. Everyone's eyes snap to Sofia. What's happening? Elena Reyes doesn't flinch when the papers spill. She simply lifts one hand, palm out, and the rest of the room stills long enough for her to gesture the server back to the buffet. Her other fingers hook the edge of a napkin, folding it into the precise triangle her grandmother taught her. The napkins always go on the left of each plate, because that's how Elena learned to keep order. Just as her mother, the woman they still call Maya in family lore, kept every holiday from unraveling. Tonight's napkins will still sit there with silverware tucked neatly inside. Because the celebration matters to Elena as much as the first time she pinned lights on the old evergreens. Marcus slips by with a tray of empanadas, balancing heat in his palms while he hums the faint refrain that always signals the start of dinner. Isabella adjusts the framed photograph on the sideboard, making sure the smiling younger Elena and Marcus appear centered beneath the garland. Elena reaches for a pepper grinder, hands moving over the tablecloth as if the motions are muscle memory. The room hums with low, easy chatter. Dishes clinking, Elena's laughter rising to meet Marcus's joke, as if the night could not possibly slide into anything else. Within Elena's gaze, the medical appointment note, its precise time circled, sits tucked beneath the tray, holding the matriarch's final birthday cake, silently proving how much of tonight hinges on keeping that date quiet. Elena smooths the edges of the folded napkins with meticulous, circling motions, then slides the family recipe book nearer, thumb pressing over the bookmarked cake instructions, before leaning down to press her palm flat against the covered final birthday cake as if steadying it. Her smile falters, shoulders stiffening as her fingertips clutch the napkins, breath held in a quiet brace. Sofia Reyes. We can't pretend nothing is wrong. This is Mama's final birthday, and she deserves to hear the truth. Elena Reyes. Holding the peace is how I keep the tradition alive. Now is not the time to let that narrative unravel. Elena's jaw tightens, her shoulders rising as her fingers drum a desperate rhythm against the table's edge. She lifts her chin, palm grazing the frosting, and flicks her wrist toward the waiting staff, fingers trembling as they flare into a sharp downward hush. The medical note, the doctor's looping hand underlining final birthday visit and rapid decline, smothers the glow from the candles atop the final birthday cake. Elena Reyes's fingers tremble as she lifts the medical appointment note from the tray, the looping script filling her sight. Her other hand steadies itself against the cake's edge, knuckles paling, as she reads the doctor's underlined command to gather everyone now. She grips the tray, shoulders tightening, eyes darting to the ceiling before settling on the page. Elena tucks the medical note beneath the cake, then lifts the family recipe book with a deliberate, steadied hand. The battered spine acts as a brace as she prepares to read the blessing. The doctor said this is likely her last birthday, Elena. This is your last chance to steer them with the truth. If I say that, I lose the calm. How can tradition survive when the story explodes? Elena's jaw clenches, fingers digging into the napkin as if to steady herself. Her shoulders rise, a breath hitching. Then she forces herself to sit straighter, eyes narrowing with a brittle resolve. She presses the stack of printed dinner programs down against the salad plates, fingers jittering as she straightens each cover with a sharper, faster sweep than before, then freezes with lingering weight on the last program. Marcus, the matriarch, is waiting. Are you still delivering the toast? I'm sorry, I can't. I canceled tonight. The gambling debt is too loud right now, and I'm not ready to pretend I'm okay in front of everyone. Elena's smile freezes, hands clenching the napkin until the fabric creaks, shoulders rising as her gaze snaps toward the doorway. Marcus pushes the stack of programs aside with a precise sweep of his wrist, then slides his worn envelope with overdue notices onto the table, letting the yellowed bills tremble before he lowers his gaze. "We just need a little tradition tonight. You can explain later, but keep it about honoring her. You already know I've been covering rent, meds, every quiet crisis since Dad abandoned us. Why do you think I took that gamble? I'm so deep now, and I can't keep pretending everything is fine for the sake of a speech." Sofia presses her fingertips lightly into the table, eyes narrowing as her jaw clenches tighter. Through Elena's eyes, the worn cover of the family photo album on the sideboard still frames the Reyes family with their father's arms draped over everyone. A fixed tableau of unity that makes the current edges of discord feel even sharper. Sofia pushes off the sideboard, the album clenched against her hip. She crosses the length of the table in measured strides, its worn cover brushing Marcus's envelope as she passes, shoulders squaring in the narrowing space with Elena. The album's weight grounds her, each step driving her forward until the distance dissolves. We can keep to the script. If everyone stays calm, the matriarch can enjoy the evening. Calm without truth is what broke Dad when he left. Marcus is asking for honesty, not another pretend dinner. Elena's shoulders slump as she lets out a shaky exhale, fingers tightening on the chair's edge and her gaze flickering downward. She slides her palms over the tablecloth, smoothing every crease as lamplight paints long shadows across the polished wood. She cups the silver champagne flute, wrenches it slightly to center it beneath the light, then holds it steady for a count, calibrating the breath she lets out through her nose. Through the curved reflection of the flute, Elena sees the corner of Sofia's folded speech notes peeking from beneath the open album, the visible line, the matriarch's truth, clashing with the photo's polished smile. Can we keep the toast to the warm stuff? Just memories for her tonight? The doctor's note says tonight is when we stop pretending those memories are enough. Elena's grip tightens on the flute, knuckles whitening as her smile collapses into a frozen mask, shoulders hunching as if to contain the tremor in her hands. The doctor said it plain. Early dementia. That's why the distance grew, why the jokes died. You kept everything smooth, thinking peace meant silence. Keeping the toast gentle was the only armor I had. I didn't want to shatter her night. But the silence didn't protect her. It protected your idea of control, and it left us with bruised, unspoken things. If keeping it quiet is tearing us apart, then I need to stop pretending calm will fix it. Marcus's fist hits the table, knuckles whitening while his shoulders quake with a heat he can't smother. His gaze darts to the floor, then back up, eyes hardening as the truth she cannot keep in play outpaces the lies he's been guarding. Elena's fingers lock around the flute, knuckles pale as metal bites into her palm. She draws her arm back, the stem humming softly against the wood, while her shoulders rise with a hitching breath. Her gaze, unblinking, tracks the faces across the table as the flute trembles against her ribs. Through Elena's eyes, the photo album lies open to a page where the faint, ghosted edges of a torn rectangle prove someone deliberately excised a face from their history. "Elena, have Isabella come here? The family can't stay cohesive while you deny you were adopted, and she has been waiting to meet her daughter again right now. If bringing her into the light wrecks the peace, then maybe the peace was already a lie anyway." Elena's face goes ashen, fingers tightening on the table edge as her gaze flicks around the room in stunned disbelief. Isabella eases around the table, a hand brushing the champagne flute rim before she slips it back in its cradle. Then she places a tentative palm on Elena's arm, fingers steadying as the lamplight traces long shadows. Elena sits frozen, the only sound the slow, steady tick of the mantel clock filling the stretched hush. She smoothed the speech cards one by one, trembling fingers pressing down on each crease, while she keeps flicking her gaze toward the album page on the sideboard. The cards lie beside the open album page where Abuela's laughter glows in sunlight, the glass of water's wavering reflection bending that joy, and the card's neat script into a single, fragile line that could bend either toward truth or silence. Let's keep this celebration steady for Abuela Sofia. Can you keep protecting the facade when her dementia is already spilling into every room? Marcus strides in, palms the cards, slams them onto the table beside the open album page, rattling the glass of water inches away. Elena's fingers claw at the edge of the tablecloth as her shoulders tense, breath hitching while the shadows of the family portraits seem to lean closer. Elena. If we mention the debts, this room will fracture and the celebration dies tonight. Marcus. Then the question is whether you keep protecting the facade and sink us, or let the chaos start now before it bankrupts her memory too. Isabella pushes back from the corner seat, the glass sweating in her hand as she rises. She glides between place settings, shoulders squared and steps measured, closing the distance to the head of the table. The empty speech notes bear a faint imprint of the word truth across the otherwise blank top line, a ghostly reminder of the honesty she desperately needs tonight. No more rehearsed toasts. Tell us the truths you've been hiding. I'm gambling away the money I send to keep the house from collapsing, and I can't keep lying about it. Elena's smile dissolves, lips pressed thin as her fingers, still wrapped around the stem of her glass, tremble against the crystal. Sofia shoves her chair back, knees knocking softly, and drags the album into the candlelight, its cover trembling against the polished table. With fingers splayed over photographs of the matriarch's smiling face, she forces the pages open as if demanding the past stay awake. You said you couldn't stay quiet. What are we missing? The dementia isn't gentle forgetfulness. It's swallowing her, and I've been pretending it's manageable for your sake. Marcus clamps the chair back, knuckles whitening as he forces himself upright, jaw tight with the burden of the words. Isabella slides her fingers along the empty speech notes, the pale paper catching candlelight as she lifts them toward Elena, almost offering silence as a confession. Isabella, why did you leave me? I handed you to your aunt to keep you safe from your father's fury. But I never stopped watching, and I choose to be your mother now. Elena's shoulders tremble as tears trace silent paths down her cheeks. Her gaze lifts briefly toward the candlelit ceiling before settling back with a trembling, resolute set to her jaw. Sofia lowers the album onto the table, smoothing its cover before closing it with a fingertip that trembles only slightly. She slides her palm over Elena's waiting hand, holding it steady against the candlelight. Elena, can you let us carry this with you instead of you holding it alone? Marcus, yes. No more pretending I can do this by myself. I'll get help and let us decide what honesty looks like together. Elena's shoulders drop, fingers unclenching as a tremor of relief passes over her face. Maya lets the knife rest against the cake, then lifts her gaze to the circle of faces. No rehearsed lift of flutes, just a breath. Elena, she says softly, we'll go early tomorrow. The note, once buried beneath layers of frosting, now sits upright beside the platter, its circled time catching the low light. It is no longer a secret, but a promise, its stark numerals part of the table's new centerpiece. Her mother's fingers hover over the edge of the album. She moves a photograph aside, and instead of closing the book, opens to the page where someone has written tonight's real toast. Here, together, even when it's hard. Around them, sighs ease into smiles. Maya slides a slice of cake toward the matriarch, and for the first time this evening, everyone reaches without hesitation.